guys, my name is Max Wappel, and I recently studied abroad in Nanjing and Chengdu, China. And I'd like to start off by first saying thanks to Greg Malveaux and the Gilman Scholarship Foundation, both of whom worked really hard to actually even make this opportunity possible for me. So thanks. So anyway, I was sitting in a classroom in Nanjing of about 20 students that was brightly lit by windows in the rear of the room, which was being taught by a really lighthearted, friendly government and politics professor who, despite his best efforts, had real difficulty in pronouncing the Z in usually. And our professor had been a Red Guard during the Cultural Revolution, which was Mao Zedong's youth league that had spread terror throughout China by destroying what were known as the Four Olds in an effort to remake China's culture. And his position at the university indicated that he was held in favor by the Communist Party. And a student raised their hand and asked what you would call a politically sensitive question, which might be anything that would force the professor to make a negative or critical judgment of the Communist Party's policy at that time. And my professor, immediately, his demeanor changed, and he became very uneasy, and he started fidgeting, and his eyes darted around the room. And he was clearly looking for another student to raise their hands so that he could answer another question and save face by not having to answer the politically sensitive one. And so when he realized that he wasn't going to get an answer from us politically unaware foreign students, he walked over to the classroom door, closed it, and said, "This needs to stay in this room." And at that point, I shivered, and my blood kind of ran cold, and I had a mixture between the excitement and anticipation. I felt like I was almost in a crime drama, and secrets were about to be revealed to me, and I would come home with a Chinese state secret. It was exciting, but at the same time I was afraid, because I realized what it is to live under a dictatorship, what it is to live in a place where some opinions, no matter how trivial, are not worth the consequences of sharing them. So he proceeded to give a meek, watered down, less than convincing half answer of how the CCP might be able to improve in small areas. So I wasn't going to return home with any Chinese state secrets, apparently. But his actions went much farther than his words. He was clearly aware, as another professor shared with me later on, that the Communist Party of China has refined its tools of censorship. He wouldn't be disappeared. He wouldn't be put in a prison camp, and his family wouldn't be assaulted if a party crony heard him sharing, political views with foreigners. Nothing would happen in public. These types of reminders are the type that are liable to end up on the front pages of American newspapers, rather than actually getting the result that the Communist Party wants. But his lights might go out, or his internet might shut off, or his water might not run. Little suggestions that he might refrain from taking public stances in the future, that he might be reminded who the patriarch who gave him his position was, and who he was at mercy to. This is a 70-year-old, mild-mannered veteran of the CCP who taught government and politics at an academic institution not much different than this one, who had been rendered so powerless. His reaction was a lot like an abused child who didn't want to react to a question for fear of being reprimanded. Studying abroad taught me many things. It taught me no matter where you go, you'll bring yourself, and that's the good, the bad, and the ugly. It taught me sometimes silence is better than speaking. And it also taught me that freedom isn't a noun. It's a verb, an action, like love. It's something that happens. And it happens when, closed door or not, my Chinese teacher speaks his mind about the Chinese government. Article 35 of the Chinese Constitution states that Chinese citizens enjoy freedom of speech, of the press, of assembly, of association, of profession, and demonstration. I assure you, through my limited experience, these words are not worth the paper that they're printed on. It would be arrogant of me to sit here and tell you that I'd become an expert on Chinese culture and society and governance, because I haven't. I've only been there for a year. Here in this country, we can choose to speak our minds freely, and we don't have to close the doors in the halls of our universities because government minders are liable to hear our conversations. If we're censored, it's because we've self-censored. And that's something that we battle with internally rather than some external force telling us. Freedom is kind of a constant struggle. It's a tension. It's something that has to be happening, living. And I think this is a point that Mao Zedong, for his faults, understood when he challenged the Chinese nation to dare to struggle and to dare to win. And I try and challenge myself and all of you to do the same. Thank you.